As you now know how the storage hierarchy in S3 looks like. So we start with bucket, and then inside of bucket we can have objects, or inside of buckets we can have folders and subfolders and upload objects there. You have a fair amount of idea what a bucket is and how to create a bucket. So now let's go and take a look at some of the bucket properties. When I say bucket properties, these are the things that I'm going to talk about. I'll discuss versioning, then encryption, server access logging in bucket, then how do we get a notification if something happens in the bucket, like uploading objects, deleting objects, etc. Then transfer acceleration, requester pace, and finally object locking. Object locking has two parts. You have to enable object logging first at bucket level, then we have to do it at object level, but I'll show you what has to be done at bucket level. Now one more thing is that as I'm going to talk about a lot of features, I'll not keep the hands-on for the end. I'll show you the hands-on as and when I discuss the topic. For example, I'll show you the hands-on after versioning, after encryption, etc. Okay, the first one is versioning. Now, what is the purpose of versioning? Why do we need versioning in S3 bucket at the first place? So let's say I have this bucket or folder inside of a bucket, and we use this upload command to upload the object in the bucket. Let's say there's a scenario now, next time when I do the upload, the name of the file is same, which is customers.csv, but the content is different. So for some reason the file was named wrongly and we upload the file again in bucket. So what will happen? Because we cannot have same key multiple times, we cannot have duplicate object keys. Here the object key is customers.csv. Of course the bucket and folder would also be there. The entire S3 URI would be there. But if we upload customers.csv again, the existing customers.csv in the bucket would be replaced, because S3 has to maintain the uniqueness of the object key. So as I said, if the content of customers.csv has been changed, and let's say we have wrong data and the name is by mistake customers.csv, and we upload this file, what would happen is that the actual customers.csv which you had uploaded earlier would be overwritten and will have wrong data. Now let's say you have a Spark job running here, or we want to copy this file to a Redshift table, then obviously the copy would fail or the Spark job would fail because the content is not same, the content is different. So how do you handle it? So that's where versioning comes into picture. We need versioning because by default S3 keeps only one copy of the object key, or one copy of the object, or one copy of the file. So it does not matter how many times you upload customers.csv, there would be only one copy, which is the latest one. So let's say I upload at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and then again at 4 p.m. and then finally let's say at 8 p.m. and all of them have the same name, customers.csv. When I open S3 and if I download customers.csv, I'll see the data as per the uploading that was done at 8 p.m. not 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. and those changes would be gone, those files would be gone, because single copy of the object is kept. So versioning, basically what it does, it keeps multiple versions of the same object or multiple copies of the same object. So as and when you upload objects with the same names, a new version is created. The main purpose of versioning is to help against accidental upload, accidental delete, and maybe for historical purposes also. So why this accidental upload and accidental delete? As I told you, let's say the file has been named customers.csv by mistake and then you upload it. So in that case, the entire content would be replaced. So if you enable versioning, then it will not be overwritten. A new version would be created, and then you can get the older actual version or the actual file and delete the latest version. So that is the main purpose of versioning. And if you enable bucket with versioning, or if you have a bucket with versioning, all the folders and all the objects inside of that bucket will have versioning enabled. So now what will happen, you upload customers.csv and the same file would be uploaded. You upload again using the upload command customers.csv. a new version would be uploaded, a new version would be created. Let's say it is version 2. So if you see, the older version or version 1 would not be overwritten, it will not be deleted. Let's say you upload again, a new version would be uploaded with customers.csv. So the older two versions would still be there. Now the question is how these version IDs would be maintained. So how do we make sure that all these are of different versions or different version IDs are there along with these files? We do not have to do anything. S3 will automatically generate the version IDs whenever we upload the file. Now we can actually read the file with its version. So let's say we see there's some problem with version v3. We can read the first version, which is customers.csv v1. We can also, let's say, delete individual versions, like delete customers.csv version 2, because that might be a wrong file which was an accidental upload. So we can delete it. If we delete customers.csv, the latest version, we will still have version 1 and version 2 available with us in the bucket. In console, we can see the different versions, and also using the CLI, we can actually look at the versions, and we'll have to use AWS S3 API, not AWS S3. So we'll have to use S3 API to check the versions, and these are the commands. We can look at the versions that a particular object has in the bucket. We can mention AWS S3 API list object versions in the bucket, and then we can delete individual objects also. So we can mention the object ID, then the object key, and then the version ID. Now let us go ahead and do some hands-on. So what am I going to do is that I'll be uploading the same file over and over again from the console, and then I'll use AWS CLI and again upload the same file over and over again. So once the upload is done, then I'll use the command line to upload the same version, and I'll use the command line to delete a particular version. So I have this 3IAM S3 bucket. Now the first thing that I have to do is that I'll have to enable the versioning. And versioning can be enabled only at bucket level. We cannot enable versioning at object level. So how do I do that? We'll have to click on properties here, because we are talking about bucket properties. All the hands-on that I'm going to do will have something or the other in this properties tab. So the first one is basically bucket versioning. So right now the bucket versioning is disabled, and there's something called multi-factor authentication delete also, which is also disabled. So how do you enable it? Click on edit, and then I can enable bucket versioning from here. And there's something called multi-factor authentication delete, meaning that if you want to delete an object, we might need multi-factor authentication. Right now I'm not going to enable multi-factor authentication. I'll just show you what versioning is. So you can enable versioning here and then save the changes. So once the versioning is enabled, you can see that in the properties. So now the versioning is enabled. Now let's go to the objects. If I click on this particular object, I can see versions here, and this is the current version, and version ID is null because earlier we did not enable version ID, or we did not enable versioning for the bucket. So that's why you see null here. What will I do is I will go ahead and upload a file, and let me delete these two. This is how you basically delete objects. So both the objects have been deleted. Now let me upload customers2.csv. So I'm uploading this orders underscore 2 underscore 10 CSV. Click on upload. The file has been uploaded and close now. Now if I click on this particular object and see at the version, I have this version ID. Now I did not mention any version here, right? So it was automatically created by S3. Okay, so now what will I do? I'll upload the file again. Orders underscore 2 underscore CSV. I'll upload the file again. So it is the same file, orders underscore 2 underscore 10. This has been uploaded as well. Click on orders to CSV and then click on versions. I should be able to see two versions here. So this is the current version and this is the older version, which was uploaded just a few moments back. Now using the console, we can list the versions. Not only that, we can download individual versions. As you can see, you can click on this and then click on download, then this version would be downloaded. We can also delete these individual versions. So I can click on this, and then if I delete, only this version would be deleted. This is how versioning works. Now what will I do? Let me go ahead and delete this. So this, the file has been deleted, and if I go, I still have the older version because I deleted the version from here, and I still have, this is the older version that I had uploaded, so I have the older version. But if you go ahead and delete from here, right, so if I click on this object and click on delete here, all the versions would be gone. So always delete individual versions, not the entire object. Now, as you might have imagined that I can read individual versions also, let me upload the file again and show you the URIs of those individual versions. So what I have done, I have uploaded the object 3 times. Click on this and go to versions. There should be 3 versions. So as you can see, these are the 3 versions. This is the first one, this is the second one, and this is the current one. So these are the 3 versions. Now if I copy this URI, you'll see there is no version ID. It is just showing me the URI of the entire bucket. So we cannot see the versions. If you copy the URI, it will not give us the version. So even if you select a version and then copy the S3 URI, it will give us the same object URI. So this is how you basically upload multiple versions, look at multiple versions, and delete or read individual versions using the console. And you can do the same using command line also. First, let me upload a file. Now what will I do is that I'll upload this particular file, orders streaming file, to the bucket. Okay, the uploading is done, and I should be able to see that file here. Let me upload it multiple times. So this is the second time that I'm uploading, so I'll upload it maybe 5 times. So the file has been uploaded 5 times, and from the console, of course, I should be able to see 5 different versions of the same file. So these are the different versions in the console. Now how do you look at these things from the command line? So I'll have to use AWS S3 API command, then mention list object versions in the bucket 3IAM S3 bucket. So now it is telling us all the versions. So as you can see, this is the file orders underscore 2.10 CSV. So I have this particular file. This is one version, and then modified time. Then this is another version. So again modified time. So this is basically from newer to older. And then I can also see the orders streaming file CSV. So this is what it is showing us, all the objects and its corresponding versions in that particular bucket. Now if I have to delete a particular version, so again you'll have to use AWS S3 API. So this is the command AWS S3 API delete object followed by the bucket name followed by the key and then the version ID, and this is the version ID that I have retrieved from the console. I could have done it from this output also, and now if I run this, obviously this particular version would be deleted. And let's look at the console. So this fourth version would not be there anymore. So as you can see, that particular version is gone, which was starting with KG. I have deleted an individual version, not the entire object. And if I go to the bucket, obviously the object would still be there because I have deleted just a particular version of that object, which is order streaming file. So this is how you can list objects, you can delete individual versions of a particular object also using command line. Now, as I said, this is very important for things like helping against accidental upload, accidental delete. If you want to store a particular file for historical purposes, so let's say you have a Python code, and after you change the Python code, you upload it and you have versioning enabled. So if you have versioning enabled and if you upload that Python code in an S3 bucket or in a folder, you can actually go ahead and download those files and look at what actually happened, what changes did you make. Of course, there are version control tools also, but The purpose of S3 is purely storage. You can store the files for historical purposes also.